What is up, Maniacs? Welcome back to another Twilight Masquerade TCG guide. This time we're going to be looking at Spinarak and Ariados. Are they competitive? Are they collectible? Let's find out. Just use Spidops EX. It's the bigger, better version of Ariados. It's got more HP, it's got a better ability, and it does more damage with its attack. Just take a look for yourself, guys. Ariados has 90 HP. You're getting knocked out by Radiant Greninjas and you're a stage 1. That is really bad. From an ability perspective, Spidops' ability is far better than this. It affects all Pokemon, whereas this one only affects evolution Pokemon. So if you're going up against a basic deck like Iron Hands or the Roaring Moon decks, then this essentially, the ability is useless. Whereas Spidops would still affect those decks. The string bind attack is exactly the same again as Spidops, except for instead of 80 plus, like on Spidops, you only get 10 plus. So you're getting far less damage output, so not as good. And then from the retreat cost perspective, this card actually does win over Spidops. So Spidops has 2 retreat, this has 1 retreat. So there's one thing going for Ariados over Spidops, and that's its retreat cost. And of course, it only gives off 1 prize rather than 2, but you're not exactly going to be taking many prizes with Ariados. And Spidops, you are more likely to be taking prizes, so you can keep up in that prize race. So like I said at the beginning, just use Spidops EX, it's a better card. For the completeness of this video, let's take a look at its pre-evolution Pokemon, its basic starter Pokemon, which is Spinarak. It has 60 HP. Which is not good for a basic. All basic Pokemon that you want to evolve should have 70 HP. That's the perfect amount. You can buddy poffin for it, and you can avoid being knocked out by Dragapult's attack effect, which essentially allows you to add 6 damage counters to any of the bench Pokemon. So Spinarak would be getting taken out by Dragapult's attack, and we have to be aware of that in the new meta. The Bug Bite attack is 20 damage for 1 energy, which is not too bad. You usually want to try and get 30 damage off of your basics because that helps you achieve some knockouts. Bug Bite, only 20 damage. It's not too bad. There is worse. Obviously, this Pokemon only do 10, so it's mediocre, I would say, for a basic Pokemon. The retreat cost of 1 is good, so we always want 1 or less retreat cost on your basics that you want to evolve. It enables you to attach an energy and retreat out of the active so that you can put more of a setup Pokemon in play. So Spinarak is probably the better version of the 2 cards here in the set. So Spinarak is better than Ariados, but obviously you're not going to be attacking or doing anything with Spinarak, and you kind of need Ariados to make Spinarak good in the first place. So yeah, the 2 cards together are terrible. Let's take a look at some cards that Spinarak and Ariados synergise well with. So we're going to be looking at Hisuian Zoroark. So the Doom Curse attack, at the end of your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon will be knocked out. It costs no energy, but obviously we want to make sure that the opponent cannot retreat their active Pokemon. So Ariados applying additional retreat costs means that they cannot do that, and it means that their Pokemon is going to get knocked out in the next turn. Obviously, this is only going to be applicable for evolution Pokemon, and like I keep saying, use Spidops EX instead. It's going to work on all Pokemon, which makes this far more effective. And the other Pokemon is Pinsir. So if you did watch our last TCG guide, you'll know that it was on Pinsir, and it has the slow crunch attack, which is exactly the same as what I just ran through for Zoroark. So we want to keep the active Pokemon in the active spot. Don't allow them to retreat it, and then get that knockout on the end of your opponent's next turn. In terms of trainers, you're not going to be surprised. I'm recommending Survival Brace again, because Ariados is going to get knocked out very easily. Like I say, you can get Radiant Greninja'd, and you can be Greninja EX'd. So you need to put Survival Brace on it just to avoid it getting knocked out. The downside, though, is that you can't use Penny like you could with Pinsir, because it is a stage 1 Pokemon. So it's actually a lot worse than Pinsir in our last video. So you could potentially play Legacy Energy as well as an alternate A-Spec card. And to be honest, a lot of the other cards would probably work well with it. Hyper Aroma to get as many of them out as you can. You're going to want to use Calamitous Wasteland as the stadium because, again, it increases the retreat cost of the active Pokemon. And again, this only applies to basics, non-fighting Pokemon. this actually works really well with Ariados because obviously Ariados only affects evolution Pokemon, whereas Calamitous Wasteland affects basic Pokemon, so you're kind of countering that kind of weakness in the ability of Ariados. In terms of the supporter that you want to play, Iri is obviously the good choice here because you don't want them to be using their switches, their switch carts to get their Pokemon out of the active. You want to make sure that you prevent that and you get the knockout for the Pokemon that Ariados is essentially supporting, so Iri is a good choice there. Bug catching set, you're going to want to use this to get out your Spinnerax and your Ariados and the energy to power up String Bind, which is Ariados' main attack. In terms of energy, like I mentioned earlier, Legacy Energy, that is another potential A-spec that you can use. It's potentially better actually than the Survival Brace because it does then fuel Ariados' attack. It also means you're giving no prizes away when Ariados inevitably gets knocked out with its measly 90 HP. And then of course we're going to want Grass Energy because it is a grass type Pokemon and you want to power it up. So it's going to come as no surprise to you guys that I'm going to be ranking Ariados as a tier D Pokemon. Do not use this card in competitive play. It is terrible. It's probably worse than the Tangrowth that we reviewed in the first video in this series. This is probably now the very bottom of the pile out of the 3 cards that we have reviewed so far. Just use Spidops EX instead. It's better. I'm not saying that Spidops is going to be meta or anything, but it's a heck of a lot better than Ariados. Let us know down in the comments if you agreed with our Spinnerack and Ariados guide. Were there any cards that we may have missed? And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed this video, check out the other videos in the series. We're going to continue to work our way through the Twilight Masquerade set until we get to the very end. And please do follow the channel. We're on our way to 1,000 followers. It really helps us out. And with that said, that's me shuffling out again.